What is up everyone, it is Sacred Saiyan here, welcoming you back to another video. So today we're going to be starting the long-awaited series, What If Sacred Saiyan Was in Dragon Ball. I'm so glad I finally get to do this series, and if you end up liking today's video, then please consider subscribing. It is free and you can always unsubscribe later. Also, if you want to join my Discord server, then there will be a link to that in the description of the video. You can talk to me and my community, grind for roles, hang out, and if you put your art in the art text channel and 10 people react to it with a star, it will get featured at the end of a video. With all of that out of the way, let's get into today's episode of What If Sacred Saiyan Was in Dragon Ball. At the dawn of time, the beginning of the multiverse, there was a prophecy very reminiscent of the legendary Super Saiyan. The prophecy of the Sacred Saiyan. One singular being will be born with every form of ki and the potential of every being from every timeline multiplied by each other. The potential of every Frieza, every Saiyan, every hybrid Saiyan, every legendary Super Saiyan, every god of destruction, every angel, every Grand Priest, and every Zeno, just to list a few. Every time a new being exists in a timeline, their potential will get added to the Sacred Saiyans. This being, after being born, will be unmatched by any opponent. However, in an attempt to make themselves the most pure being possible, they create an evil which is just as strong, if not stronger than themselves. This is the story of that Saiyan. This is the story of the Sacred Saiyan. Deep in the far reaches of space, there's a planet known as Planet Vegeta, home to the mighty warrior race called Saiyans. This is the planet where the Sacred Saiyan is finally born. His power is already incomprehensible at birth, but because of all of the different types of godly ki he has, his power is undetectable, and thus, the Saiyans believe him to have a power level of 0. Frieza would eventually decide to kill all the Saiyans with permission from Lord Beerus, and Bardock and Gine would put their son in a space pod and send them to Earth in order to save him. But when the pod is on its way to Earth, it is stopped by the Grand Priest who has just appeared. He sensed the child as soon as it was born, and has been waiting for the perfect moment to go to him. The Grand Priest then takes the child and spacepod to Zeno's palace, where Zeno has been waiting. The spacepod then opens, and the child crawls out. Zeno smiles, saying he finally has someone to play with, but the Grand Priest tells Zeno that this child can play with him, but he is also much more important than they first expected. Sensing him up close, the Grand Priest realises the prophecy has finally came true. The Sacred Saiyan was born. Every god from every timeline knew about the prophecy of the Sacred Saiyan, and they all hoped the Sacred Saiyan would be born in their timeline. However, it seems it was this timeline that he was born in. The Grand Priest shoots a clove beam at the child, giving him a blue gi. The Grand Priest then says they will call the Sacred Saiyan Sacred for short. The Grand Priest would raise Sacred for 17 years. Sacred would also play with Zeno from time to time during this period. The Grand Priest would help Sacred control his power, and even in base form alone, the Grand Priest is only a fraction of Sacred's power. Sacred also learned and mastered Ultra Instinct during this time, along with every godly technique the Grand Priest knows, and even the erasure technique of Zeno. He was also able to achieve Super Saiyan God very quickly, but the Grand Priest wasn't able to teach Goku any of the regular Saiyan transformations. He had already removed Sacred's tail, and he has also told Sacred about the prophecy of the Sacred Saiyan. The Grand Priest now decides that it is time Sacred returns to Universe 7, and he heads to where his parents originally intended, Earth. Hopefully there he will be able to train under other masters and learn new techniques. Sacred agrees, and using instantaneous movement, he teleports to Earth in Universe 7. Once arriving, he realises the world is in deep peril, and he flies to the strongest person he can sense. He arrives in front of King Piccolo, the Demon King being confused who Sacred is, and telling him to bow. Sacred smirks, moving so fast King Piccolo can't even see him, and he punches a hole right through the Demon King's chest. King Piccolo spits out an egg, and he then falls to the ground, lifeless. Kami then appears, thanking Sacred and asking who he is and how he is so strong. Don't forget, Kami can sense God Ki, and even though he can't sense Sacred's full power, the power he can sense is still incomprehensible compared to his own. Sacred introduces himself and asks Kami if the Namekian he just killed caused all the destruction on Earth. Kami is confused, not knowing what a Namekian is, but he says yes anyway. Sacred then asks if he can train under Kami, learning every technique he has, and Kami would agree, and would take Sacred to the lookout. Kami would first create a new Shenron and reverse everything King Piccolo did to the Earth, reviving everyone and restoring all the damage. After a couple of months, Kami teaches Sacred everything he knows, and somehow, for some strange reason, Sacred gains the ability to create his own set of Dragon Balls. Sacred assumes it is something to do with him being the Sacred Saiyan, but he isn't entirely certain. Sacred would then ask Kami if there is any other masters on Earth he can train under and learn techniques from. And Kami can think of one person, Master Roshi. Kami tells Sacred where Master Roshi lives, and then Sacred uses instantaneous movement to teleport to Kami's house. Master Roshi and Krillin are shocked when Sacred appears out of nowhere, and Sacred introduces himself. He is the one who defeated Demon King Piccolo. The Turtle Hermit and his student thank Sacred for doing that, as he was the one who killed them, but they question why Sacred is here. Sacred simply says he is here to learn every technique Master Roshi has to offer, and Master Roshi would gladly accept this request. A couple of months would pass, and it is time for the martial arts tournament. Sacred has mastered all of Master Roshi's techniques, and he is going to compete in the tournament to see if there are any strong Earthlings. Sacred has to infinitely suppress himself in every battle, and he quickly realises no Earthling is worthy of his time. However, Sacred would meet Chi-Chi in this tournament, and he would end up marrying her afterwards. We now skip a couple of years into the future. Gohan was born during this time, but since Sacred never meets Grandpa Gohan, he obviously wouldn't give his son that name. He may name his son Bardock, since he never hit his head and remembers his father, but we will just call him Gohan in order to not create any confusion. Sacred is training on Kami's lookout when Raditz arrives. Raditz says he is Sacred's brother, and that Sacred needs to come with him to help take over a planet. Sacred remembers the Grand Priest did mention he had a brother, so he does believe Raditz, however he states that he won't use his power to take over planets. Raditz says he only found him because a Namekian on the planet down below this place pointed him in the right direction, so he clearly can't be strong enough to defy him. Sacred and Kami look at each other, thinking they know who Raditz was referring to, and then Raditz attempts to scan Sacred's power. Nothing comes up on Raditz's scouter, and he begins to laugh, saying Kakarot wasn't even worth their time, and he then shoots a double Sunday at Sacred. Neither Sacred or Sacred's gear are damaged in the slightest. Not even a scratch, not even a speck of dust. Raditz is confused, and then Sacred appears in front of Raditz, breaking his scouter instantly. Raditz gulps, apologising to Sacred, and then Sacred simply says he will spare Raditz because he is his brother, but if Raditz even thinks about doing something evil, he will kill him. Don't forget, Sacred would have learnt the ability to read minds. Raditz would agree, and he would tell Sacred that Nappa and Vegeta will probably be on their way to Earth, and they will arrive in a year's time to avenge him, since they most likely think he is now dead. Sacred says he will easily kill those two once they arrive, but until then, Raditz will first show him every technique he has, since Sacred can learn any technique instantly after only seeing it once, and then Sacred will train up both Raditz and his son, Gohan. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did then make sure to like, comment and please do subscribe. It is quick and easy to do. With all of that out of the way, I hope to see you all in the next episode of What If Sacred Saiyan Was in Dragon Ball.